Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, with special guest appearances from Andrew Hoges Hoganson, three avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Minnesota Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? The Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegran, G-R-A-N, group at edinarealty.com or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. Men for the Win is part of the Pulltab Sports Network, covering sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and give them a follow on all your social media platforms at Pulltab Sports. On this episode, David, Dan, and Hoges give their predictions for the 2026 Minnesota Twins season. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. My name is David Kufis. With me, as always, is Dan Thompson, and special third chair in studio, Andrew Hoges Hoganson. My goodness, boys, can you believe it? Baseball, real baseball games that actually matter, that aren't World Baseball Classic games, are going to be played this week. Are you excited? Are you pumped? I know it's hard to be excited about the Twins, but are you at least excited for baseball to return?
I'd been giving myself a pep talk to be excited about this, but then you let it off with your whole in-studio thing again, and now I'm just crabby with you right away. So here we go, kicking it off again.
No, I think I'm excited. I think it's fun to have something to look forward to every day on your calendar, and it's competing with the Wild and the Timberwolves. Why do you
sounds like the most cope answer I've ever heard. Competing with the Wild and the Timberwolves? No, they're not. They're not. Let's be honest. This is a podcast of honesty. This is the least excited.
Be happy. It'll be fine. This is gonna be great. They're off
now you're giving off dog in the burning house vibes going. It's fine.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Okay, this is going to be a great season of Twins baseball. We're going to see so much young talent up at Target Field because they're going to trade away all the everyday players. And by all the everyday players, I mean all three of them that they currently possess.
David, I got to bring it back to your last episode, though. When you guys were talking about, well, then they'll call up some young arms. And you went, who? I mean, that's how I feel too. We keep talking about get the bullpen, some new guys in there, but you summed it up. Who?
I'm not an owl, Hoges. I don't know. But anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're a longtime listener, thanks so much for your continued support. If you're a first-time listener, thanks for checking us out here. Each episode we do during the season is a series recap. We record an episode after each Twins series. This will be a little bit different. Obviously, we're giving our season predictions. We're going to talk a little bit about the finalized roster. And then, folks, I do need to take a minute. I need to push our Patreon. If you want to support the show, you can find the link in the description. Dan and I just reviewed The Martian. That's available now here. $1 a month gets you access to that show. We never put anything Twins related behind a payroll, but if you're willing to support this show, $1 a month goes a long way for Dan and I to keep this production together with the duct tape and strings that we're currently using. Dan Thompson.
Speaking of Buck, your first item here. Was it Hoges that you brought this to us? The Corey Provis, Glenn Perkins, Buck's Pants incident, which I think is a great name for the whole thing, which will segue into the Twins TV lineup to the right. I watched this and Hoges, you better tell us what it is because I can't get through it.
So Talking Baseball actually tweeted it out, and it was a video it was Corey Provis and Perkins that were doing the call. And Buxton's on third, and Provis says something like, it's a good start for the Twins right now. And then it's a little bit silent, and then Perkin goes, you ever seen Buck with his pants down? And it's dead silent. And finally Provis is like, no. You mean wearing shorts?
Yeah.
The comedic timing, I don't even know if it was on purpose, but it was just beautiful. That awkward pause. It's why baseball announcers are so good. And honestly, Provis probably learned a little bit of that from Euchre, which just sometimes you just got to talk about something that's not directly related to the game. But what he meant was he was talking about how Buxton normally has his socks all the way pulled up and he doesn't have his pants all the way down. I've watched it. Probably 100 times, and it gets funnier every single time. Just no.
You understand what he was saying, but not until
right away you're like
Like, the thing is, it's not like Provis like took it a weird way. It's like there's no other way to interpret this when you just said, "Have you ever seen Buck with his pants down?" You're like,
can I be totally honest though? I knew exactly what he meant right away because I saw Buxton on third and I was like, that looks weird. And then he said it. Maybe my mind is, you know what? Perkins is from Stillwater, David. Maybe that's what it is. There's something in the water out there.
No, it's called
Here,
poor public schooling.
I've got
Hoges.
it pulled up. Can I just play it? I think we can get this through.
It's a good start for the Twins here in the fourth inning. You ever seen Buck with his pants down? No. Like in shorts? No, like he doesn't have his, no socks showing. I see what you're saying. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think we've dwelt on this quite long enough. But so the on-air talent, the on-air talent,
That's pretty good. That's pretty good right there.
The on-air talent, if I may, for Twins TV, it's a lot of familiar faces. Denard Span is going to come in the booth as he did last season, along with Trevor Plouffe, Glenn Perkins, and then obviously your core of Corey Provis and Justin Morneau. Also Paul Molitor, who, bless his heart, loves nothing more than to help teams that have friend-zoned him time and time again. Tim Laudner, Anthony Recker, who I don't know who that is, but he's going to be on the air with Twins TV. And then Audra Martin, Katie Storm, Marnie Gellner also returning to Twins TV, and then Jim Rich is a pre-post-game analyst. So pretty standard lineup that you would expect for Twins TV, but it is sort of fun to see Paul Molitor going to be in the booth again, boys.
How do they need 12 people to do this?
Because one person watching too much Twins baseball just doesn't end well.
They need some. Look at what happens when Perkins and Provis have to watch too many preseason games. I am going to miss LaTroy Hawkins. He's now on the actual coaching staff. I loved him. He was such a breath of fresh air on that broadcast, and always a little nervous because he didn't know what he was going to say. But he was incredibly insightful. I think he'll be a huge help to that pitching staff. So, yeah, he'll be missed in the broadcast.
Well, yeah, he'll be missed on the mound. My goodness, the way that this bullpen is put together. Like, they might have to put in a call. Did you see the devastation when Jesse, what's his face, the reliever, Jesse...
Crane?
No, the guy from the Astros. It was the closer for so many years. He was with the Twins, then he left, and then he came back this spring and helped the Twins in spring training.
Jesse Crane?
No,
That's still my guess.
now I'm not sure that. Now I don't think it's Jesse. Who's the guy? The pitcher? Presley. Ryan Presley.
Oh, Ryan Presley?
Ryan Presley. Okay, sorry.
I guess
Everybody was so upset when he went and he started to job with the Astros now, because we were really hoping if he worked in the Twins front office, there'd be a good chance that he would come and make an appearance on the mound. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So anyway, let's transition here into the roster. So a couple of updates here. Ryan Kreidler and Eric Wagaman were both optioned to AAA, which surprisingly, I don't think we saw this coming. Tristan Gray is going to get the last position player spot, along with Trevor Larnach and Austin Martin, sort of filling out that roster. Tristan Gray is kind of a guy, I guess. He's hit around 200 in his MLB outings, but he can play third base, he can play shortstop, and he can play second base. And supposedly the Twins think that there's some upside there. Are you guys happy with that? How much does it matter when we're talking about the last guy on the bench here?
This is meaningless.
This
is all they got?
I don't know who all three of those guys are, if we're being honest. I don't know who either one is.
Well, Eric Wagaman was one of the guys they traded for in the offseason and then didn't actually trade on to another team. So he was one of the guys that actually stuck.
Gotcha.
He's kind of he's a utility guy, but he's not really a shortstop. I think and Kreidler does play short, but they liked the quote was funny. They liked Tristan Gray's offensive upside, which he. Again, 231 he batted last year, 207 career.
There is a lot of room for upside.
There is.
That is the optimistic way to look at that, Hoges, certainly. So just folks, if you're just tuning in and you haven't been paying attention in the offseason, here are your Minnesota Twins 2026 position players. We've got Buxton, Keishel, Lewis, Wallner, Bell, Larnach, Lee, Martin, Jeffers. On the bench, Clemens, Outman, Caratini, and Tristan Gray. I mean, if that's not a World Series quality team, boys, I don't know what is.
Yuck.
Very insightful, guys. As I lay out I offer up this brilliant lineup, and that's all you have to say about it is yuck.
Okay, there are more lefties now on the bench than there were in the starting lineup, right? So like David, I get your point now about all the lefties.
Wait, so
Clemens, Outman, and Gray are lefties, and Caratini's a switch.
I do love that we're opening up the season against a lefty too. It just
Oh,
makes
man.
me smile.
No.
But look at
Very
all the righties,
disappointing.
Hogs. There's 7 righties, 5 righties, and 2 switch hitters in the starting lineup. That could hold up.
Yeah.
Boys, I am trying to keep the optimism. It is going to be a long season. We have to
think you
find
just gotta let it go.
every silver lining.
I think that'll make it worse. I think you just gotta let it go and enjoy the plunge.
Okay. Well,
We're not jumping into like White Bear Lake or something, Hogs. Like this isn't.
speaking of the plunge, let's go ahead and move to the pitching side of things here. So the rotation is locked in. I think that really, if you have one reason to be optimistic, it's that even with the injury to Pablo Lopez, you still have guys who can throw the ball and who could be effective starters at the major league level. So we got Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, Taj Bradley, SWR, and Mick Abel. And I think that, yeah, Pablo going down is rough, but I still think the rotation is honestly the strongest point of the Minnesota Twins roster, which isn't saying much. They don't have a very high bar to clear.
Thank you.
Like, I mean, I understand, like, they're not, if they were in the high jumps in the Olympics, you know, the bar would be on the ground, and that's all they really would need to clear in order to be the strength of this team. But boys, do you have some optimism there? That like we could at least see some good starting pitching this season?
I think if all of those guys are healthy the whole year, that's a team that could compete, or not a team, but a rotation that could compete for a playoff spot. I do believe that. But like, they're not going to be healthy all year. A lot of them have a lot of injury issues, and the depth's kind of gone. So what I used to be excited about, I'm not as excited about. And like, Gleeman wrote an article about the Twins, and he's back to his just real Debbie Downer ways about them right now. But
Back to? I thought
I
that's
feel like
how
he
he's
got
been.
off of it just a little. I don't know. Maybe that was just I stopped reading, but it felt like his comment about the starting rotation, which we perceived as a strength, and he said it's like rated 15th out of the 30 teams in Major League Baseball, which seems about right. Like it's okay. Our strength is okay.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine. But you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
There, David. Nicely done. I think I'm going to get to that when we get to the preview part. I think I have more to say about the starting lineup. But also, David, you have some notes on the bullpen here because they haven't even really figured that out yet either.
Bowman left. He opted out of the minor league deal, and he's like, guys, I totally raked in the spring. You don't have anybody who can throw, and you still won't tell me I have a rotation spot. So no, I'll go ahead and opt out of this minor league offer for the Twins you so generously offered to me. So
hard to blame the guy.
he's probably going to make a bullpen somewhere else. I bet we see him at some point when the Twins
You think
play.
so?
Yeah, I think he
I
had
do.
too good a spring, and relievers are always in demand. He'll find a spot somewhere, and he'll get an opportunity.
Aren't they in demand in Minnesota?
Yeah,
Like
that's-
that's what's so weird.
Were you
Seems
listening
like
the
it.
last
I
30
was
seconds?
listening, but
Okay.
like, wouldn't that be weird? Like, are you saying that he opted out because he didn't want to be here? Like he wanted more of a guarantee?
No,
They
the
were gonna
Twins.
give him?
team.
Yeah, the Twins said he wasn't going to
That's
make the
weird to
team,
me.
so he opted out.
All right, that is weird.
It's just same with Hendricks and same with Chafin, who it'll be
Well, apparently
fascinating.
there's more hope in the bullpen than we gave them credit for.
Well, that's
like,
right.
They must know that there's a guys.
the way
coming.
that Derek Shelton talks about it. He's like, yeah, we don't really know who's going to fill these spots, but we know those guys who we let go, who we've seen have some success at the major league level. Those are definitely not the answer. And
aren't
so
the guys.
It's like,
Some
but if
pretty
we see
good-
Liam Hendricks somewhere being like a 7th inning guy, and he finishes
Yeah.
the season with like a sub-4
Yes.
ERA,
Yes.
that's going to be as good or better
He's-
than what we
he's
have.
A great story, but like he's overcome cancer. I mean, like that's wonderful. But like they must have cut him because he wasn't very good. Like
I
he
don't
wasn't
know.
ready. What, right?
You're putting a lot of faith in our talent
Well,
evaluators
But-
right now.
But that's their job. Though, right? Is to
they've been
evaluate.
doing a great job of it lately.
Well, isn't this a new group?
No, it's not.
I mean, like
it's the
Shelton's got his
same
people.
group. They just chopped off the top and bumped one guy up.
That's how I do the roster in the spreadsheet here. It's a lot of
Why wouldn't
chopping
you?
and cutting and
They-
pasting.
They added a new busboy. They fired Falvey left and they hired a new busboy. That's what happened. It's like when your work says you're not downsizing, but they get rid of a director and then bring in a new like cleaning guy. You're like,
They do that in
we
education too,
backfilled.
Hogs.
We
That's-
backfilled.
yeah,
What are you
that's
talking
true.
about?
Let's talk about for sure who we know is in the bullpen and then who I think is going to round it out because the options are just, this is who you have. So Topa, Sands, Orzi, Rogers, Banda, and Funderburk. Those guys are locks for sure. Then it's Kent, Altavilla, the hero of Italy, and then it could be this Cody Lawyerson character, but right now, the latest available updates coming out of Matthew Leach's article was that Kent and Altavia seem like the guys who are going to make that team. So that rounds it out. You need right-handed relievers because you have Rogers, Banda, and Funderburk, which I don't know how many bullpens go in with 3 lefties without reverse splits, but the Twins are bold. I mean, if not, they're visionary, really, guys. I mean, we should be looking at our franchise and be like, my goodness, to take franchises to a place they've never been before, which is only take people who have the left hand dominant, is really impressive.
Yeah.
Now you're using sarcasm, David. I see.
No, I do think it might be a first. I mean, that's
maybe
not
not
good.
since like
that too, yeah.
1848 when they didn't know that people could only were right and left hand dominant.
Okay, any thoughts on the bullpen? I mean, obviously it's the biggest question mark. I just think
I don't think it's the biggest question mark necessarily, but I agree that it's a question mark for sure.
I mean, I know I've talked about this a little bit, but like, how bad is it going to be?
Bad.
If the Twins' offense
historically bad.
No, okay, let me finish my
The
point for
answer
a
is to
moment.
finish
here,
it, and I'll just repeat exactly what I just said.
But let's say this offense somehow cobbles together like 4 to 5 runs in a game. I think they could do that, and they're still going to lose the majority of the games because I don't think the pitching staff, unless they're pitching 9 innings from the starters, I don't know how they're going to finish off games with the bullpen.
It gets into our predictions a little bit, but on the crazy predictions, I wanted to put we'll have the most blown saves ever by a major league club, but I decided not to do that because there's no way we're going to be leading enough games going into the ninth inning.
I was just going to say, I'm like, the problem with that is there's not going to be enough opportunities.
Yeah,
for
I
that
had it
to
all
be the
written
case.
out, and I'm like, no.
Any other thoughts on the bullpen here, folks?
Bad. Historically
later.
bad.
Yeah, I'm not okay. All right, bullpens can be figured out. We'll come up with
In
this
the
later
off season, Daniel, not when the season starts.
They've got it all figured out here. Let's move on. So the ABS, which is not analog brake system. Every time I look at that, I see the icon in my car.
You're not supposed to see that. That light's supposed to be off.
Sorry, Mike. But the automatic ball and strike system. It's been interesting because now catchers are kind of priding themselves on how accurate they are with the overturns. So it's kind of like pitch framing. So do you think this is going to be consequential, and how do you think this is going to shake out?
I think the overturn rate is going to be higher as the season progresses because I think teams are going to start to limit more and more who's allowed to actually challenge. And I think teams are going to be pretty conservative with their challenges because there are times in a game where it's egregious. And so if teams are telling the catchers, hey man, if it's close, you got to leave it alone. But if you know it's a strike or you need to offer that in a very, very specific circumstance, because how bad if you lose those challenges early and then the 9th inning you go down on a ball outside that should have been a strike. I think they're just going to be very, very strict about the way that their guys are using this system.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to show them those ump scorecards and like study these like as evidence points?
The catchers for sure.
Do you think they already look at them? Is that something that?
I think they
system?
Do, because you got to know what a guy's tendencies are going into a game. I mean, that we did that in Little League where you're saying that he likes calling them outside. We just knew umps that like doing that. It's a part of the game that I feel like I'm going to miss, that this might cure a little bit. I hate it. I still really do hate it, but I hated the pitch clock too. So I'm trying to be like less vocal about my hatred for this until like mid-season, and then maybe I can. Cause I need something to care about this year. So this seems like it's going to be where I'm latching on.
This is the thing.
Have you
I don't know.
joy in your life? Is there no song in your heart?
Turn it back on him.
Clearly
I
not.
do think this will be consequential. And because I was thinking it was the World Baseball Classic. I mean, for goodness sake.
No, but
was it a semifinal game that ended on basically a bad call?
Yeah, but I was fine with that. I mean, granted, I'm an American, so that it didn't hurt. It sucked that the game ended like that. But can you imagine that call happening and then they instantly challenge and then it maybe for whatever reason it was a strike or something like that? Like, think about the moment that you ruin. And I get that the moment was a little bit ruined by it clearly being a bad call, and like no one wanted the game to end like that. But literally my first thought was like, yes, and then like, oh, because it was a good game. But
yeah,
to go to the replay, it's like in the NFL, a huge play happens and you're just watching the replay for a while instead of just instantly celebrating. I don't like that because it's ruined the NFL for me a little bit with that, where you're always like, well, let's see what the replay shows. Oh, he did catch it. Yes. And like, I don't know. And I know baseball's faster, but that's my concern.
Are you sure what didn't ruin football for you was the Packers not being able to succeed in the postseason, Hoges?
13-0. We can talk about it all we want.
Okay, let's get into the season schedule breakdown a little bit. So we like to do this little thing where we all say what our dream road trip is. And I'm curious, looking at the schedule, guys, there's not a lot of options for things that would work really well for a road trip. But as we all know, geography, not exactly my strong point.
Duluth, that's in North Dakota.
So maybe there's a path here that I just can't visualize on this map of the United States that's very square in my brain.
Even if it's not a great road trip for you, Minnesotans, I tell you, there's nothing wrong with just going to the lake. The sun's going to be out, and we have a perfect sponsor to celebrate. Rave Sports is your one-stop shop for all things water sports. They've been around since 1997. They're based in Eagan, and they have all the toys you and your lake life need. Give your pontoon the water patio it always wanted with an aquedock. Take your kids on a thrill ride with a new hypertube, or just chill out with an inflatable paddleboard. It's all at Rave, and don't forget to use promo code Pulltab for 20% off your order. Whether you're a lake person or a river person, make it the best summer ever, and visit ravesports.com. Rave Sports, make waves. I will go to the Mariners series, which is always kind of I'm glad that that's kind of in the middle of the summer. But as I pull it up, I am annoyed that the geography, I think you are right, David, it doesn't line up very well to like drive from one to the other. I
mean, David's the one who wanted to do the road trip to Texas and then just hop on a bus to California.
Cubs Guardians would be fun, because those are close enough to be able to see. I still think, just going down to that Field of Dreams game, would be really fun, but that's just driving to Iowa. That's just like a summer day for me. So I don't, Boston, Chicago, Pittsburgh. That is a cool trio of games there too, but it's not a direct line. You're backtracking. I don't like to backtrack.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird, maybe. It's hard to find that many in a row. They don't even really have their typical West Coast trip out here at all, where they're going, because a lot of times that would be mine, where you get to see San Diego, the Dodgers, San Francisco, or something like that. But yeah, it's a tough year. My group of friends is going to Boston at the end of May, which will be fun to go to Fenway. I have been there before, but I'm still excited for it. None of the rest of them have, and it gets more and more like this every single year, where there's less of these long road trips in the same area that you can jumble them together.
It makes me think of like how there's been chatter around the Timberwolves possibly moving to the Eastern Conference in the NBA, because I think that Minnesota is in kind of this weird spot. I don't know that it functions quite the same way in baseball, because you play everybody and you play so far around. But there is this, it's a long way to Seattle, right? there's nothing in between really, unless you go through Colorado and such like that. So there's a part of me that kind of wishes they would play the Brewers more and maybe the Cubs more, play them. Remember, it was the COVID year when they played all those NL Central teams, and I was I couldn't go because the stadiums were closed, but you could actually make those drives a little bit more friendly. And now it's you're right. And they also don't make multiple trips to a lot of places anymore. So you don't have multiple opportunities to be there.
But we can all agree, though, that playing every team every year and then rotating the home and home is by far worth it.
No question. A great decision by Major League Baseball. I do think there is one, you could do the Angels and the Giants at the end of the season in September. That's probably the closest you could really get to 2 road series, and that's 7 games. But do you really want to go to 4 games against the Angels and the Twins, who are both not going to be very good baseball teams in September?
And even that's an 8-hour drive, though, to get up to San Francisco, too.
I've seen it on a map. It's not that far, Hoges. It's only this far. It's really close.
It could be 15 hours, depending on how LA is doing. But yeah, that's a good answer right there. But yeah, you got maybe the Angels will be competitive this year, though.
Okay, so I do this every year also. I sort of give my David's prediction for when we'll know what this team is. And here's what I'm doing. I'm looking at the schedule, and I think on May 10th, if the Twins are 500, they'll compete for a wild card. I don't think they're going to be. Just for the record, I just need to make sure people understand. I don't believe they will be 500 on May 10th. But if they are 500 on May 10th, I will become a believer, and I will start cheering for this team to make a wild card in what I thought was an impossibility as I sit here right now at this desk. But you look at the way that the schedule starts. They do the Orioles, who their roster looks very different. Then they go Kansas City, who I think is underrated in a lot of the Major League Power rankings. Then Tampa Bay Rays, who are supposed to be bad. the Tigers, who obviously their pitching staff is stellar, but other than that, what do they really have? Then you have the Blue Jays. That's going to be a problem. The Red Sox, that's going to be a problem. The Reds are ranked 20th. That doesn't seem right to me either.
No, Tito is better than that.
Yes. And then the Mets, that's going to be rough. The Rays again. Then the Mariners, also going to be rough. The Blue Jays again, that's going to be rough. The Nationals are terrible. And then the Guardians, and that's the first time we see the Guardians, is that series in May that ends on the 10th. And to me, looking at those teams, if the Twins are playing 500 baseball, they had to have so many things bounce right. Like, it's incredible for that to have happened. But I just think, I think that's a realistic approach here, that if they're at 500 at that point, I will be shocked. But I will also think maybe they can compete for a wild card here in the division.
I think that might be the stupidest thing you've ever said in your life.
Oh, wow.
I mean, with the caveat.
Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
David's Dumbs.
I looked at the notes before we started recording, which is rare for me. Generally, I don't do that. But I saw this note in there, and my first thought was like, I cannot wait until I find out what idiot put those notes in there so I can
always
make fun of
David.
him. I didn't know who
Always
it would be.
David.
I legit thought it was
in
Dan.
Seasons past, you've praised me for this perspective
because
about
that
when
was
we're
a
going to...
smart take. I don't know if you've seen this roster or if we've talked about it or not. But here's your only saving grace here is that you caveated it a million times with if they're 500 by then. And I mean, yeah, caveated. It's a verb.
That's not that far into the season. I guess that's my quip. I mean, there's
well, that's what I feel
4
like
months
saying. If they're 500
still.
by the end of the Royals or the Orioles series, they'll compete for last place.
No, because
in the division.
you've seen a large variety of teams at that point. You've played 41 games, which is not nothing as far as the season is concerned.
I know, and they're not going to be 500 then. So,
well, that's what I'm saying. But if they are, you're telling me if they're 500 at that point, Dan Thompson, you don't see that as, oh my goodness, maybe this team has a chance to be competitive.
I just want to see more of a sample size, I think, than 40 games.
40 games
it was
is a
enough
lot of
for
games,
Royce
Dan.
Lewis, but I don't know. Then you mentioned, okay, so they hadn't played the Guardians yet at that point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the end of it, right? That's the last series.
Yeah.
There's some bad teams in there. Maybe.
No.
I think I need to see. I need to see them 500 into June. I think before I would buy it, right? Because then you've also got played the Red Sox again. You've seen the Astros, the Brewers, who should be good. The Marlins are in that too.
Dan, you're looking at
the White Sox.
But look at that. That's what I'm saying. The reason why May 10th, why I chose that particular date, is because their schedule gets infinitely easier for the next 10 series.
Maybe. I think that's the hard thing about this exercise is we don't know how good these predictions are going to be. You go through you laboriously go through and update these rankings after the All-Star break, and I appreciate that so much. Yeah, we both. I mean, David, we love that, but a lot can change.
Well, this is going to be a recurring.
Well, let me say.
Oh yeah.
So let me flip this around. So if they weren't good, let's say they win 15 of those games or 15 and 25, would there be hope that they could come back?
No. There's just no way, because with a team that's structured like this, that for them to be competitive, they need to be at that 500 line for the whole season. You're not going on a 15-game win streak like last season. That's not going to happen.
But that team ended up not being very good either.
Well,
and they still had the 15-game winning streak. So
But that's not.
I think it's
so many things bounced right during those 15 games for the Twins that I just think
so fun though.
It was.
Look at this. Fun.
Okay,
yeah.
So the end of May, early June, they play the White Sox, the Pirates, the White Sox, the Royals.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you can't.
Them making up some ground there in that point.
Yeah, but you've seen
Tigers, Cardinals.
When you're gonna have to beat good teams sometime, and they play the Blue Jays twice, and the Mariners and the Mets. If you come out of those series and you're still at 500, remarkable stuff. And so then, your optimism might be, sure, you could gain some ground, but I think if they're losing, getting swept in each of those series, you're probably not going to beat the White Sox and the Pirates. And, I don't see them gaining up ground if they can't at least be competitive up to that point that I've discussed.
My worry is, man, if they're not, this is a really long season, of not watching
Is it just sinking in now? Have you not felt the negativity from me at all?
Well, I don't want to. I want to be able to root for a team that has some hope. That's not just, Jim Suhan wrote about this today for the Star Tribune or on Monday, just about you're like basically true baseball fans don't need a winning team, which I don't necessarily agree with, right?
What? Stop it. Get some help.
But like, he's basically saying if true baseball, like that there are things for true baseball fans to appreciate about this team because we're going to see, and his fairest point is that we're going to see Wally Jenkins, we're going to see Emmanuel Rodriguez, Gabriel Gonzalez, we're going to see some of their best prospects at some point this season, and that is exciting. So I will be excited about that. I would just like there to be just the glimmer of wild card hope.
Well, there's another solution to this too, and I'm not proud of this. I'd say I'm more ashamed of it than anything, but now is as good a time as any to confess this. Every year I place a $50 bet on the Twins to win the World Series. I did not this year.
Oh.
I did place a $50 bet on the Twins, though, to have the worst record in Major League Baseball. So there is something I'm
now
watching
I
there.
want them to win the World Series out of spite at this point. Like, I won't even celebrate that
That'll
the Twins
be your
won the World
first
Series.
thought.
Yes, would be thank goodness that Hoges is going to have to drink wine to forget about what he's just done.
I didn't say I was proud of it. I'm not proud of it.
Well, I appreciate you getting it on the record too. I always like to listen to this episode midway through the season just to kind of see where we
How
were.
dumb we all
That's
are.
going to be a line that
Yeah.
I'm
I'm going to
dwell
listen
on.
back on May 10th. Let me tell you that. When the Twins are sitting at
excited.
500 and
I would love to be wrong. I would so love to be wrong.
okay,
Just
boys.
not.
It's time. It's why everybody has come. They're all excited. They want to know our predictions for this season. And I think we just got to jump right into it. We all have our predictions. I don't think any of us have seen the others' predictions. We haven't talked about it at all. Hoges and I had a ton of crossover last season, but we'll see. I don't know how varied we're going to be this season or not. Hoges, you have your hand up because it's class.
You said we haven't looked at anyone else's. I did look at the season MVP to just the stats part to see what stats you guys used because
I see.
we've had some like, well, whether we do like the stat line or whatever, and we've always argued about it when we got there. You guys both did the same thing, so I decided to match. So,
Did we really?
Yes.
I
not
defaulted
not
to
the
what-
numbers. I was just looking at like the categories that you did.
No, really?
I default.
That's
Mostly.
surprising because I
Close.
feel like I've never done this category.
Well, yeah,
before.
you Dan's got a weird one in there, but
It's important for my pick.
the crux of it is the same.
Ooh.
You can
Okay,
cut
so-
that too if you want. I just needed you both to know that.
Nope,
I
we
had
got to
looked
have
at
that in there. That's important.
So we have it in order here. We have Dan, David, and then Hoges. So I think we'll just go in that order, and we'll sort of reveal as we go, so that we're showing them. So Dan, do you want to start off with our first category here? Most home runs.
Right. So I picked Matt Wallner. I gotta play it. Hold on. Give me a second. Why are you making that sound? Matt Wallner with 32. I think Matt Wallner bounces back this season. He has to, right? He was so.
It's not the first time you're going to hear somebody say he has to on this episode.
I just think if anybody is likely to hit a lot of home runs on this team, that's not Byron Buxton. It's going to be Matt Wallner. So that's why I picked him.
Yeah, I thought we would all agree on this one. If you had to bet money on a category, I thought it would have been this one. I guess not.
Yeah, that's a moose.
Yes, but a very cute moose. Make all the boy moose go. Wah!
It's not a bad pick. Like, I mean, if I had to pick the
Thank
number
you.
2 guy, I think I'd go with him.
Okay.
but-
All right. David, give yours, and then Hoges can chime in. I'm guessing you guys agree.
No, I went with
Oh,
Matt
my
Wallner with 36 home runs.
I'm gonna walk away with these.
Okay, here's the thing. First of all, I really wish that I would have said mine first because there is no doubt in my mind that Hoges would have ripped me to shreds for saying this. But because Dan said it, he had to be nicer to Dan. And so now he can't look at mine and be like, well, that's the dumbest pick ever. Because
He's got
he
a
was
more
already nice to
reasonable
Dan
face
about it.
than you do.
Totally reasonable.
You did pick more home runs than I did, though.
It's
I did
better
pick a
than
few more home
Sano's
runs.
75 home runs.
Best shape of his life.
Best shape of his life.
You guys were saying that too. You're talking about Brooks Lee. It's even worse. The Brooks Lee, he's not in the best shape of his life. He just rearranged some pounds.
Which, okay, to be fair, Dan kind of jumped the gun on that because I actually had that note from the last episode in this spreadsheet. So he
Oh, it
didn't
would've
see
been
that I
good.
had it in this one because I had it as Brooks Lee best shape of his life guy
Yeah.
this season. And so it was going to be a whole thing with the season opener. But anyway, yeah, I do have Matt Wallner. I hate to say what I want to say here is that the reason why I haven't chosen Byron Buxton is because I'm a little bit convinced that last season's health was a bit fluky. And so I am not convinced that he's going to be
that man's ever been to medical school.
I don't believe that he's going to be on the field enough to match his totals from last season. So that being said, Matt Wallner, 36 home runs. Hoges, I assume you've gone with the guy we didn't choose.
I went with Byron Buxton. I had to. That the clear and obvious number one. I also have some injury questions, so I put his total at 30. Figure he could play about 100 games and still maybe hit 30.
That's a lot of home runs in 100
He
games.
did it that one. He had like 28, and he only played in 90 whatever games.
Fair enough.
Well, let's go on here. Batting average it is. Gosh, I get to lead again. Can we do a snake order here?
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. Hoges, why don't you start us here?
I went with Luke Keeschel. I guess this one I feel like maybe I'll be the same, and I went with a very, very low batting average of 265.
Holy cow. Man, this season's going to be rough, but if this is the highest batting average on the team, we're going to have a rough go.
David, tell me who then. Who's going to be higher?
Luke Keeschel, but his batting average is going to be much better. It's going to be. Oh, hang on. Did we even say Hoges has him at 265?
Yeah,
as the highest batting average on the team.
While I said it.
I have Luke Keeschel also, but I have him at 297, which I thought was conservative. I almost put him over 300. I'm like, I don't think he's really going to hit that barrier. But Hoges, 265, if that's high on the team, holy cow, things have not gone our way.
But the best part about this is it gives me the opportunity to argue about whether or not they've all reached the minimum amount of plate appearances, which I think none of them will. So technically, don't think anyone will qualify. So I got my out. It's pre-written in there.
Yeah, I went with Keeschel too at 295, which I was running the numbers. So last year, obviously in 49 games, he didn't have a ton of play. But 302, I think he takes a step back there, but I think he's clearly the best candidate to lead the team in average. Last year, Hoges, Austin Martin and Ryan Jeffers had better batting averages than 265. Byron Buxton, it was 264. So it does come in a tad low.
I feel very good about that one. I'd also like to call David out on some hypocrisy real quick here. He talks about Keeschel all the time as being amazing. Anytime we talked about Rice Lewis, which apparently David was right on that one. However, you never mention small. No, I'm not. My point is, you never mention small sample size with Luke Keeschel. You're just fine with it. You're like, yeah, he's gonna bat 297 because he batted 302 in 40 games. I don't understand. Are you right on Keeschel then? Like, so maybe it's not hypocrisy.
Hair that glows when I sing.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, Hoges, it's called being
Dang
right.
Sounder.
Yeah, so I know. I'll tell you what, Hoges, we'll have to figure out the parameters of another bet here. But no, I do think I'm right about Luke Keeschel here.
I hope you are. He says condescendingly.
On base percentage. So I picked Austin Martin.
Oh,
at 390.
I love that pick.
I think he's going to play a lot. His on-base percentage last year was 374, and he was hampered by an injury from the beginning of the year. Also, his walk-to-strikeout ratio isn't too bad last year. Again, small sample size, but 22 walks, 31 strikeouts. That's one of the best, if not the best on the team. I think he's a quality hitter. He's fast. He's going to find ways to get on base. So that's why I went with Austin Martin.
He might be the guy that I'm most excited about this year, though, to be totally honest, because he came in and he was really hot right away, and then he got hurt, and then he kind of struggled a little bit, like you were talking about with the injury. He's a guy that I think can take a legitimate step up that isn't quite as like, oh, it's Keeschel or whatever. Like that second tier of guys, like outside of Keeschel and Wally Jenkins, I think he's who I'm most excited about this year.
So just so we have a little perspective here. 390 for an on-base percentage would settle him at 6th.
I hate when you do this.
In all of MLB. It would put him right between Shohei Ohtani and Vlad Guerrero Jr.
No.
So,
it's good company.
Because Keeschel last year was 382. Like, you're talking about qualified.
Yeah, this
people.
This is my age-old argument that I always speak out against now and am so for at the end of the year.
Anyway,
who'd you pick then?
No, David? I also took Luke Keeschel for this category as well at a much more reasonable 348, which still puts him in like the top 30 in the MLB. But yeah, it doesn't put him up with Shohei. So I just think that Keeschel has shown that he can be patient, and I'm so excited to watch that guy play baseball. Honestly, he was coming off Tommy John last season when he came up for that brief stint, had the terrible luck of breaking his arm on a hit by pitch. And then he came back. He was just a firecracker. And I think that's maybe why I like him so much, is that he just has this really natural energy while he's playing. And Royce maybe has that fun guy energy in the clubhouse and in his interviews and things like that. But like, when he's hitting those home runs, Royce is great. But if Royce hasn't hit a home run in 30 games, Royce Lewis is no longer the energy guy you're looking for. Royce Lewis is sadness in Inside Out. Like, he's not the guy you want him touching anything. You need him to be away from the rest of the team at that point. And Luke Keeschel just looks like a guy who's going to be like, hey, yeah, I'm not going to say ridiculous things in interviews, and I'm going to have a ton of energy out on the field. I think that's why I'm so excited about him.
That's going to be the interesting.
Are like onions.
That's going to be the interesting. That's going to be the interesting thing about him, though, right? Like, what happens when he slumps this year? Like, does he get out of it quicker than Royce can?
Slump,
Luke Keeschel doesn't slump.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Immediately. He doesn't slump, folks.
Okay, this one is by far. This one is by far my most unique one, although he had an incredible OBP last year. Do you have any guesses? It's a guy that normally David would pick.
Ryan Jeffers.
Yes, correct. I went with Ryan Jeffers. I matched his exact OBP that he had from last year, which was a 356.
Are you going to reveal yours, Hope? Because they're just black.
I was waiting for David to do it.
Oh, okay.
Normally he does everything for me.
Well, that is true. For the history of our friendship, planned the outings, everything that had to be done. Hoges just showed up, and only sometimes did he show up.
Hold on. Now that number, it does make my number look really high. 390. Look at yours. I didn't realize it was
The
like
best part is
David
David does do this to, well, normally both of us, but I'm Mr. Negative Nancy this year. To
Yeah,
Dan
well, 265 is...
That's
like,
reasonable. It's reasonable.
It's like I had to scroll too many pages to even find where that would put Keeschel in batting average for last season.
Just watch.
All right, Hoges, what do you have for OPS?
All right, with OPS, I went with Mr. Byron Buxton. I didn't pick what he got last year, but I was incredibly close to what he was last year. I went with 815. I think he's going to have a touch of a drop-off, but I still think he's going to have a really good year this year.
Okay, well, I also went with Byron Buxton. I went a little higher. I went 852 for his OPS here.
Darn it. All right.
Please tell me
No,
Dan in the 900s.
Dan's got Buxton at 2.4.
Yeah, right. A grand slam every episode.
I have 875. That's not that high.
That's not that unreasonable.
He had 878 last year.
Yeah.
Why the deflation, guys?
I mean, that would put him
he's
exactly
old.
where he was last season in the standings.
Exactly.
So it's not ridiculous to think that. Again, my sort of contention is that I just don't see him as staying as healthy. And if he does, I think, there's a very good chance that he hits that same number. I'm trying to taper my expectations a little bit here. Dan's estimation here for OPS tend to lean towards the high side of things, but let me tell you what leans towards the low side of things are the prices at Cub Foods. Ladies and gentlemen, summer's here soon, I suppose, but it's prime grilling season. The sun's out. It was 80 on Saturday. It might as well have been the summer, but it's a great time to gather the neighbors for spring cleaning, and what better reward for cleaning than grilling here. Lucky for you, Cub Foods is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. With everyday fresh products and wide selection, you'll be in great shape to host the next grill out with all your backyard essentials. Grab your fresh produce at deli meats, party trays, and bakery all in one stop. With over 100 locations in Minnesota, check out your local Cub on your next shopping trip for all of your summertime essentials.
The really annoying part about this is when I have the Twins like stats from last year and I don't put the qualified players thing on there. Johnny Pareda shows up for like all of these different things in his 11 games. Yep. He had an OPS of 870.
Not bad.
What a guy. Oh, man. How did he not make the team?
This one we all have to agree on.
It'd be shocking if we don't, but knowing Dan, he probably has an ERA of 0.2 for this season.
This is reasonable. Joe Ryan, 3.30, right?
Yeah, I got nothing.
It's about where he was last year. I based this very much on last year because I remember David shaming me over my overhyped top 5 in the majors Hall of Famer predictions.
You forgot about that with the offense, but remember it again with the
I
pitching.
did. So yeah, I just think he's the clear number one.
Yeah, I took Brian as well, but I think he's taking a step forward this season. I have him at 2.97 for the ERA, which would put him in the top 10 in the MLB, which I think he very well could be.
Yeah, I really hope you're right. I went with Ryan too. I went with 3.56 though. I'm a little nervous about the tail end of every single season for him. Like, I want him to stay strong the whole year. So I think he's going to have a really good start to the year. And then I just see that tail off happening again. But if he can avoid that, that would be great. The problem is they might not be playing for much then. And I feel like he is a guy that is motivated. I mean, we all are, but I feel like him especially. I think his drop off last year happened right around that trade deadline sell off. I don't know if it was so much fatigue as more like mental fatigue almost.
I mean, he might be playing for something, Hoges, but for another team.
I did have that thought, but I didn't feel
August.
like mentioning that. We'll get there though.
Well, but I do think there is something to be said that if we get to the All-Star break and he's in the Cy Young conversation, even if the Twins are out of it and he's still pitching for the Twins in some weird way, I think he might still try. He might be able to get up for that at least, even if the team isn't successful.
Hoges reliever then?
Well, hang on here. So I'm fascinated by what this category will bring in.
Oh, this one was hilarious.
That'll be great. But real quick, those are the names of our relievers. It's just guys. It's warm bodies. No matter what all of us put there should be no shame here because there's just who knows.
You could say unknown. You could say not on roster, and I feel like that would be fair.
All right, what do you have here, Hoges?
I went with Cole Sands. I think he's the most reliable arm that they have in the bullpen right now. I think he's probably getting a lot of the high leverage situations too. He might even be the closer going in. Who knows? I know there's a couple other guys that are in contention for it. I went with a rather high ERA for the lowest reliever with 3.19, but I think this bullpen's going to be bad, boys.
Yes, it is going to be bad. I went with Anthony Banda with an ERA of 3.42, which I have to be honest, I even struggled writing that number down. Like
Same. You'd be happy with it, wouldn't you? You'd be like,
3.42. Yes. The Twins win a couple of games this season. Like, not a lot, but at least a couple. But like, I was like 3.42 for the best reliever, maybe. And like, truly, I think that there's a better likelihood of one of these guys who Dan seems to think we have stashed in the minors will probably have the best ERA as a reliever, but it'll be because they pitched like 15 games in September and they're lights out because no hitter has seen them yet. But
without even looking at Dan's, just with R2, and then assuming Dan takes someone else, even if I asked you to take the field or those three guys, you'd take the field. Where in previous years we're picking Duran or Jax, and there's no way on earth you'd take the field over who we ended up picking. And this year, I think you have to.
Would you take the Dodgers or the field here, Hoges, if you were taking from the NL?
I would. Every other year, you'd take the field. This year, you have to take the Dodgers.
Well, okay. This is interesting.
Dan was scrambling to change his numbers.
Yeah. You can check the edit history. So I also went with Anthony Banda, but an ERA of 2.95.
There's just no way.
Okay, I have a couple reasons. So first of all, the last 2 years, his ERA with the Dodgers has been 3.18 and 3.08. And this is in 48 games in 24 and 71 last year. I think the benefit of facing teams that mostly haven't seen him in the American League versus the National League will help him. And I do think he's going to be effective. I think that was a guy who kind of got away from the Dodgers. I think he wants to prove them wrong. And I think if anybody when I look at that team or when I look at that bullpen, I think Banda is the most proven. And I think the guy with the most, well, he doesn't have the most to prove, but he has a lot to prove. So I feel pretty good about that pick. I like Anthony Banda.
Yeah, if there's one thing that we've learned is that pitchers definitely going into their 34-year-old season get better from what they've ever been in their career before.
Well, the Twins better hope he's 32. He's not.
He's almost
Rodgers,
33.
Whichever Rodgers
he's 100
got.
days away from 33. He will hit 33.
Well, let's hope so. August 10th is his birthday, so we'll look. We'll check on August 10th. That's another one David to add to this calendar.
If he passes, that's on you.
You should look at Dan's betting history. Like, what? This player will die before August 10th? What are we doing here? All right, season MVP, Dan Thompson.
All right, so I went with Luke Keeschall. I agree with a lot of the logic that you guys are saying. David, I really appreciate what you said just about kind of his energy and the fact that he was coming off a surgery and was still, I know it's not, the same for a position player as is for a pitcher. I don't think the power is there yet, but I think 10 home runs is reasonable. I think speed is his big factor here. I think 30 stolen bases is probably low. And now I'm looking at the OPS numbers here. So I guess I would say that if I was Hoges, that Keeschall would have led the team in OPS here with 830. I think that would be probably second or third on the team behind Buxton at 875. I just think Keeschall's going to make a difference this season. And I think, too, this is with the future in mind. I think people are going to look at this season at the end of it and say, man, that was fun to see Luke Keeschel. I'm really excited about 27 or 28 whenever the Twins take the field again. I
also went with Luke Keeschel. So my numbers are somewhat similar, I'd say. So I have a 297 batting average, obviously an 810 OPS, so a little bit lower than Dan came in. 25 stolen bases, 30 is a big number to hit. I do think it's possible. But the addition here, I think he's going to be a phenomenal second baseman. And I think the only thing that will hinder his chances at being a Gold Glove finalist is if Brooks Lee has trouble manning the shortstop position. That's what I think could be a hindrance here. But I truly think that Luke Keeschel is so agile and he looks so good on his feet, and just the way that he responds to the ball off the bat. I just think he's a guy who could be a very, very good second baseman for a long time in this league.
He was terrible defensively last year, though. like epically terrible.
Okay. To be fair, he was coming off Tommy John surgery. So he's probably being cautious, first of all, especially with his throws to first. And secondly, he then had like 3 games, then he broke his arm. Let's give him a minute here to actually.
But that's we don't have a minute. Like, it's been 40 games. Like, are the roles switched right now? Like, what is going on right now?
I'm just saying that I think that he has the capability and the energy and what I see is drive to be that good at second base. And second base is not the hardest position on the baseball field. For the record.
We could.
It's not that hard, Scott. Tell him, Wash.
It's incredibly hard.
We could switch who we're talking about, and it would be me and Dan and I talking about Royce Lewis.
How many times are we having the same conversation in this episode, Hoges? Yes, I understand.
Because it is the same conversation. That's my. I mean, I hope you're right, and I agree with all the things that you're saying. But my goodness,
then why are you
he's an
so upset
MVP.
at me, Hoges?
Because he's played 40 games.
Have you not seen his hair, Hoges?
It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
What is your prediction here, Hoges?
Yeah,
Buxton, of course, is going to be this. David, you got to reveal it for me.
Oh my goodness. Dealing with my 3-year-old here.
I went with
100 RBIs. Who's going to be on base, Hoges? If Luke Keeschel can only be on base every once in a while here, Hoges.
Well, he won't be playing for the Twins.
He's got an
in
OPS
August and September.
830.
That's
how many stolen bases, Hoges?
I think I was gonna say like 35. I think he's gonna steal a lot of bases this year. I think he's gonna be. There's two. Well, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I got a crazy prediction that's all about Buxton.
All right.
Hang on, just real quick. You think it's more likely
there's
that
two
Byron Buxton? Hang on. You think it's more likely that Byron Buxton hits 100 RBI as opposed to Luke Keeschel being a Gold Glove finalist?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I think so too.
Not
I would
even
agree with
close.
Guys, nobody's going to be on base. What are you talking about?
He had 92 RBI last year, and he batted
if he hits 95 home runs, I guess this is possible.
He's not Matt Wallner. He's got a better ratio than that.
I like that. That's okay. We got to workshop this, David. That's definitely got to be like and Dan can be the judge of who got closer. Because I mean, mine will be numeric, yours will be into the ether. But like there's something there, David. There's something there. We'll have to think of it.
Okay, so we're on Hoges's. No, we're on least valuable player. Yeah, okay, then we'll get to the crazy prediction.
So I got a little bit just.
I knew someone would do this. I knew somebody would do this.
I just put in the notes quite literally the rest of the team. I thought about this one the most, but I just couldn't pick anyone who would I think they're all going to have disappointing years, but I don't think any of them are going to disappoint me because I think it's going to be bad.
If you lower the bar to the floor, then you're not disappointed.
This is my way of coping. I want to be happy because I'll just be, if they do anything, I'll be happy. But I couldn't pick.
Okay. I went with Brooks Lee. I think he's going to be a liability at shortstop. Yeah. I don't care how he rearranged the weight in his body. I still don't think it's going to improve his footwork on being able to actually hit who's ever fielding first base. I think he's probably going to struggle with injury.
He's got a back problem.
And I don't think he's going to hit for power. And I just think that means that he has no positives on that side of the ledger. And I just think that leads to the least valuable player. And I think we're going to see Caitlin Culpepper up here way sooner than people think. because you can't run Tristan Gray out there for like 80 games this season.
Yeah, that's a good pick for all the reasons you said.
I'm surprised that you didn't pick this guy. I went with Bailey Ober. I'm worried about his velocity. I know it was a little bit better. I'm saying the full word. So these stats that I give here, I think 25 starts, but an ERA over 4.95. It was worse last year. It was an ERA over 5. It was 5.10 in 27 starts last year. And I think if he does that again, that I think makes him a liability in the starting rotation. I hope the best for the guy, but and then I struggle with this because I thought about guys
look at David's picture. Like that's why I.
Well, I know,
with it.
and I don't know. You can see. I think we can see it in the background there a little. Like I don't want this to be true, but I look around and I'm like, I wanted to pick Royce, just because but then he's made a lot of changes in the offseason. He seems rededicated under Derek Shelton. Like I'm not ready to give up on him.
When he's hard to pick too, because if he bats 210 or something like that, it's just kind of on par with how he went last year. So I feel like you really need a guy who plummets more, which I think that's why Ober and Brooksley are good picks. But yeah, last year I picked Joe Ryan and I ended up being so epically wrong. I hope you're both wrong.
Yeah, well,
sure.
Of course we want to be wrong here, but I do want to say, Dan, I got to be honest. If Ober finishes the season with 25 starts and his ERA is sub 5, even if it's 4.99, he's still going to have a job next season in a rotation somewhere. Yeah,
where does that rank in ERA among starters?
Probably second on the Twins. I mean, I don't even think I'm joking.
I think in the
MLB?
League. Yeah.
I'd have to look.
These feel like very Chris Paddock numbers from 2 years ago, right?
It's like
we made similar predictions about Chris Paddock where we said there's no way he's going to be on the team, and then he made it through. He got traded at the All-Star break, right, for something. I just think that's not what. If the Twins are going to win this year, they need Bailey Ober to be much better than that, and that's not great. I guess that's all that I mean. That would be a disappointment to me. That's a lot of innings that he's eating with not a very good ERA. I think he's the biggest question mark that I have in the starting rotation, and that was why I guess I put him there.
And if he gets a 4.95, he's never going to be the guy we hoped he was going to be.
No, totally right.
Yes.
He's not. That's a great point, Hoges. So he's not just the season LVP. Like he's just not the guy.
Yeah.
And that would be too bad.
But he does have a lot of kids, Dan.
Where did all these unsupervised children come from?
And he'll have more time to supervise them, right? after this season, if that comes true. I don't want it. Like you said, I don't want it to come true.
All right, crazy prediction time.
Okay, so this is fascinating based on what David just said.
Mm.
So
Okay.
Wow. So, I was holding my tongue there. It's like when you really like a movie and all the people you're with don't like the movie and you don't really want to speak up. Like if I had seen Project Hail Mary and then didn't like it, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't say. I think Brooks Lee starts 135 games at shortstop and bats 260.
Maybe at AAA.
Okay, and Larry, if you're listening, first of all, it was great to meet you in Los Angeles, and I really am so glad that you're a listener and hopefully a Patreon subscriber. But I believe in a player who plays fundamental baseball well. Brooks Lee is a fundamental base. He is named after Brooks Robinson, right? Like this is a guy who should be able to figure it out to play great shortstop, even with his physical limitations.
My back!
I think that he's going to tough it out. I think the work that he did, I was convinced by Gleeman's article. I think he's going to be the guy. I think Kalen Culpepper will play at some point here, but I think Brooks Lee is going to hold this down at shortstop. He's going to have a great season. That's not even great. That's a serviceable season. I think he's got great bat to ball skills. Like I think he's a fundamental. I just want to believe in Brooks Lee.
You just did the most white guy basketball football player description. Everything. He's really fundamental. He just cares about the fundamentals. Not athletic
he was out there
at
with
all,
Pistol Pete doing his passing drills, and I'm convinced that he is going to come back stronger than ever. And as he was eating his raw eggs and waking up in the morning and chasing those chickens, and Mick was sitting there in his corner telling him how he's going to come out of the gate absolutely swinging for the season for the Minnesota Twins.
That prediction. It's supposed to be crazy, so I can't. But that's lunacy right there.
No, it's not lunacy. Who else is going to play shortstop?
That's
Tristan
Gray. But you still have him betting 260. I think the 260 is way more reasonable than the 135. I think 260 is fine. I think he
Yeah,
could.
if you only
together.
count him for like the 3 games he plays,
That's
in,
what I
he gets a
mean.
couple of hits.
Like David's AAA snarkiness is not far off from what I would predict.
Okay, my prediction, boys. Are you
Please
ready?
be a positive one.
It depends. I guess it depends how you look at it. I believe that the Twins finish the season with both Joe Ryan and Byron Buxton on the team.
This makes mine so much better. I love it. I'm just gonna say mine isn't an answer to yours. I feel like unless Dave has anything he wants to say right away.
No. That's okay. But David, tell me why why do you think that's crazy? First of all,
Because I think that any logical baseball ownership group would think, what on earth are you doing holding on to the one aspect of your team that's actually valuable when we're not going to play baseball next season?
Why not hold on to your valuable things?
Because they're not going to. Joe Ryan's not signing with the Twins. Like, unless the Twins offer him. Like, honestly, that would have been the only thing that Tom Pohlad could have done that would have made me think that he's actually serious about this team contending, would be to sign some actual bullpen arms and to offer contract extensions to 1 or 2 guys who it actually would make sense to do so. Primarily Joe Ryan. If he came in and he's like, you know what, we're going to pay the man and we're going to give him $200 million for 4 seasons or whatever, whatever the numbers are for Joe Ryan's rating right now. Had they done that and said, no, we're committed to this team, we want to be competitive, there's no way that they're going to hang on to Joe Ryan. So why on earth are we having him play for a team that is not going to be successful this season? And for Byron Buxton, my goodness, I love that he's loyal, and I love that he loves the Twin Cities, but my goodness, I want that guy to get a ring. And I would just love to see it. I'd love to see him go somewhere and be really successful and play a major role for a team to win a World Series, even if it's not in center field. Like, he might be better suited in right field depending on the team that he's on and who's in center field. But I just think that the Pohlads think, well, these are the 2 guys we have. We have to keep them to keep the fans happy. And that's a terrible reason to keep players if you don't have a long-term strategy and structure for how to create a championship culture. Oh, man, I just archived that sound there. One second.
I want to build a championship culture.
Don't you feel like we're giving Buxton the KG treatment a little bit right now?
No
like
question.
A guy that didn't want to leave at all. Like, did not, and we just forced him out. Like, I just feel like Buxton's on that track. But a guy that, I don't know, like, do you both feel like when the Celtics won that year that we kind of did? Like, it's horrible, right? It's like loser mentality to the max. But I was pumped when they won the NBA championship, and I feel the same way about Buxton on this too.
KG said, for all the people in Soda, that's us, Hoges. I don't know who else he would have been talking to. Like, that's anything is possible!
At least he did it better than Tatum did it.
Yes.
Well, see, now after reading yours, I'll just read what mine is.
Yes.
David, drum roll.
Yeah, I did. It's done, Hoges.
So I had 2 options on mine. Buxton gets hurt, and the Twins, and then I'm assuming Joe Ryan gets traded, and the Twins have a negative WAR player that's playing in the All-Star game, or Buxton gets traded at the deadline and he's the only All-Star. But I'm realizing now, after looking at yours, that yours is a way more, because I'm saying they're both going to get traded, probably, which after that is way less likely, or way more likely than your prediction that they're both still on the team. So I almost want to just switch mine and make it be yours, because you talked me into, like, there's no way they're both still going to be on the team. And me saying they're both going to get traded feels a whole lot less crazy now that I'm really evaluating this whole thing.
It's like, that would be the logical thing. So I guess depending on the universe that you're living in, if you're living in the Pohlad universe, yes, the most logical outcome is for both of them to be traded. But in real world, no, that won't happen because the Pohlads are crazy.
All the Buxton stuff, like me picking him for all of this stuff, I just got to a point where, like, if this team is so bad, he's going to waive his no trade clause. So he's either getting hurt or he's getting traded. And that felt miserable to me. But, like, I think Ryan's for sure gone. Like, I think absolutely. So that's why I liked the negative WAR thing, because it'd be so funny to just have, like, Brooks Lee make the All-Star game, never even go onto the field because he's batting .215 with 8 home runs at the All-Star break.
260 in a lot of games at that point already.
Now I'm sad.
He called up from AAA for the All-Star game as Brooks Lee.
He might. Like, that's what I mean. Like,
Okay, Hoges. What's the record? What's the postseason finish? I don't even know why I included those.
Can we say that last year both of you predicted they would be in the World Series, losing to the Dodgers?
I felt it. This is where I'm getting sad again, because I felt it last year. There was still that hope, and now this year I predicted them to just barely just barely avoid 100 losses, 63 and 99 for your Minnesota Twins. And that last game of the year is going to be an extra inning nightmare that they're going to pull it off to avoid.
And then they're going to storm the field and
They're
get
gonna
hats
storm
made
the
and say
field.
we
There's going to
didn't
be 8
lose
people
100.
that are going to run onto the field, and yours truly will be one of them.
Okay.
And then for my postseason finish, I said last in the AL Central, just in case that wasn't clear. I think the White Sox are actually going to have a little bit of a resurgence. And by resurgence, I mean not lose 100 games.
Sure.
I know what I'm about to do. May seem.
If you put the playoffs, I'm just ending the recording now and going to bed.
Hang on.
Don't say such things, Hogs. I think
I think that the Twins have the possibility of not having a sub 500 record. I think they will, but I think they're going to get closer to 500 than people think they will. So I have their record at 80 and 82. Obviously not finishing in the postseason, certainly. I think they could beat the White Sox. I think the Royals are really good. I think the Tigers are good. I think the Guardians, the hard part with the Guardians, I think we've been brainwashed that like every preseason poll is always like, well, the Guardians are in the last 5 teams of the league. They're terrible. And then they're always in the postseason, no matter what happens. And it's very frustrating. And so I just don't see a way for the Twins to beat out the Guardians, the Royals, and the Tigers. I think they could beat out the White Sox, but I think to Hogs' point, the White Sox could be a lot better than people are giving them credit for. I just don't know. I think that they can get close to 500. Honestly, an 80 and 82 season would at least be less miserable than a 63 and 99 season that Hogs is projecting.
Sign me up. Like, that would be great. Like, as long as you're watching a few series wins, a couple exciting games, sign me up for 80 and 82.
I split the difference, 76 and 86, fourth in the Central. So I do think... I think this is a team that is more likely to finish strong because it will have younger guys who are trying to earn their spot in the majors, not just their spot in the Twins. I'm excited about Wally Jenkins. I think we're going to see Wally Jenkins before the All-Star break, and he's never going to leave the roster. And that's going to be fun. And so maybe they're not going to be great early on, and that's going to kind of set their fate. But I do think that there's enough young players to make this team fun and watchable. The bullpen is obviously a problem, but I think here's the path towards the playoffs that I could see is that the lineup is fantastic, right? And I'm saying fantastic in that they hold serve for a while, and then Wally Jenkins comes up, Emmanuel Rodriguez comes up, and they've got some guys. Now all of a sudden you're like, well, these are exciting players who are like Keyshalls from last year, right? If you could take 2 Luke Keyshalls from 2025 and put them on this team with what they've got, I think that could be a fun, exciting lineup.
Well, I think you're onto something there, right? Like if on May 10th, if the Twins are 500 or better, if they're really doing that, I think they got a legitimate shot at the wild card.
Hey, are you being sarcastic or are you being real right now? Because I think you're.
Okay.
I think you're on. I think you truly.
All right.
I think Hogs. I think you're truly. That's what you think, but you don't want to admit it because you've had time to let it sit in, and you realize, as you always come to know, that David's always right, Hogs.
Yeah. Yep. You're right. You got me.
Okay. Hold on, though. I think there's a way that this team could be fun to watch. And in that way, the bullpen is a mess, right? And that's going to be an issue all year, right? But I think it's not Rockies bad, I think, in this situation here. I think that there could be some fun games.
That says otherwise, right?
We'll see, but this is wildly less optimistic than we were last year about this team.
Yeah.
And why? So what is it about last year's team that looked better?
The bullpen.
The roster, the bullpen, everything.
Everything? Do you think this team is going to score more or fewer runs than last year's team?
Fewer, by far.
Can they go negative? How does that work?
Well, okay. All right, so let's look. I'm just trying to look back at 2025 stats
you know what,
here.
Dan? I have to give you props because I think it was the end of the year, or maybe it was one of our off-season episodes. All you kept saying was, look at this lineup. I can see this lineup scoring a lot of runs. And you weren't doing that just for the podcast. You truly believe it. So you know what? I like that. I love that.
Okay. They were
love that for you. David loves it when people say that.
I'm a little stitious.
All right. Last year, the Twins finished 23rd in the majors with 678 runs scored. Over or under that this year?
So much under.
It's going to be rough, Dan. If you think they're cracking
I think it's going to be over that. Okay. The teams below them were the Orioles, Angels, Royals, White Sox, Guardians, interestingly, Rockies, and Pirates. How did the Guardians make the playoffs with 643 runs scored?
Did you not follow the Twitter of everybody calling them absolute just luck merchants and
I think it'll be over that. I think that record would be okay. Or would they rebound on the edge with 76 wins?
For what?
I don't understand the question.
If they won 76 games, would they be in the bottom 8 of the majors?
I think they're in the bottom 10 for sure.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the standings though.
We'll see.
Well, boys, this has been phenomenal, and we have one more thing to do. And are you ready? I get to use a segment sounder in our season prediction show. Watch this.
And we'll see you tomorrow night. Puckett's Picks.
It's here. Baseball
That's such
is
a great
here.
moment. That was such a great moment. I know you guys were in diapers, right? I mean, and I get it.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
But that was pretty magical there, that home run.
Okay, so I would be remiss not to remind people what happened with Puckett's Picks last season. I did take away the victory with 17.5 points. Dan and Hoges tied at 16.5, with Hoges taking the victory because he had a higher points scored total. And then the listeners came in a distant third with 13, I suppose. So here's where we're at. Listeners get to choose first no matter what, always. And the listeners are taking Buxton, which is not a surprise by any stretch of the imagination. So then, because Dan, you scored less points than Hoges did, you will get the next pick.
Well, let's see. I wasn't quite prepared to make my pick here. I got to look at the lineup and look at... Okay.
Yeah, to remember who's on this team.
Helen Roden.
Can I take his AAA numbers?
Yeah. Eduardo Tate.
You know what? Let's go ahead and just... I'm going to stick with the strategy that we followed in 2024, I think. I'm going to take Royce Lewis.
All right. Well,
Hold on. Can we back up?
No.
None of us picked Royce Lewis for any of our categories for season predictions.
Didn't even cross my mind. Other than for
interesting?
season LVP, but I just thought it couldn't get worse, that it would make it like that much of a disappointment. But maybe that's where we're wrong. Maybe that's the path to 500 by May 10th. Maybe that's what it is. It's Royce right there.
No way.
Are you trolling us again, Hoges, or is that a real opinion?
I am clearly picking the wonderkind himself, Luke Keeschel, him and his 49 games, because I mean he's gonna hit 830 for an OPS with 30 stolen bases and batting 301, and yeah, I'm taking Keeschel.
I appreciate that.
I just have to get this off my chest. That collapse last year was absolutely embarrassing. I think I only needed to win like 2 out of the last 18 series. I'd like to just personally and formally, publicly apologize for that disappointment. It won't happen again. We won't lay off.
I thought you were talking about the Twins collapse in 2024.
Yes, I was too.
And that's where I thought you were off a year.
No. I'm much more egotistically focused than that.
I'm glad you lost, Hoges, because I was so happy to win. I'm going to go with Matt Wallner. I think truly after those 3 names are off the board, you might as well just throw a dart at a board here, but we're going to go ahead and give it a go here. I'm going to go with Matt Wallner.
Yes, but a very cute moose. Make all the boy moose go.
That's one of the greatest lines of any movies ever.
Well, with that, boys, this has been fun. I'm very excited to sort of get into our regular scheduled programming, having episodes after each Twins series. Again, folks, if you can, support the show, join our Patreon, listen to Dan and I argue about movies and different plot points. It's very exciting stuff. But truly, even if you don't want the additional content, we'd really appreciate the additional just support to help us make this product better and better. We appreciate those who keep coming back season after season after season, even when the baseball's not good. But boys, I'm very excited to record these episodes with you this season. And Dan, if you wouldn't mind, can you send us out?
Well, folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on X at Men for the Win and find our Men for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platforms so you are notified when new episodes are available. And if you'd leave us a rating or like, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon. The link is in the description. Thank you for listening, and as always, go Twins.
That'll wrap up another episode of Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, with special guest appearances from Andrew Hoges Hoganson, 3 avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Minnesota Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins!